It all really ultimately came down to Quiventioné, the lead actress. We'd been referencing, there's a movie called Dry Wood by Les Blank. It's a documentary about sort of Louisiana in I think the 80s. And we were looking at that as a kind of way of finding just the sort of the textural palette of the place. But really it was just about responding to Quiventioné's performance and to the environments when I actually got down there. It was very clear from sort of early rehearsals that the way the camera needed to relate to Quiventioné and to Hush Puppy's character was going to be absolutely critical for the film to work. And it really just became a case of exploring the way you could sort of move in sync with her and sort of keep the camera in step with her perspective on the world. And another guiding principle was we had this idea of this is something Ben and I had actually explored in previous projects, but the idea of a very reactive camera, a camera that doesn't know what's going to happen. You know, very often in sort of typical cinematography, you know, the camera can sort of preempt moves, and we wanted a camera that was always discovering the action. It was always a little, you know, a little behind what was actually occurring, which we thought was a really important way of getting Hush Puppy's kind of exploratory point of view through. Well, Ben and I both actually, we met in the Czech Republic. I lived in Prague for about 6 years, and we met while I was living there, and we both had a huge love of animation. We've both made a couple of animated projects, and I think that was a big influence on the way that we sort of understood the fantastical sides of things, especially on a low budget when you're trying to make sort of, you know, short films, or, you know, trying to sort of understand your interest in filmmaking. Animation is a great place to work, because you can achieve things that are more expansive and more sort of epic than you can typically achieve on a short live action production. And that was really important for both of us, that, you know, I think we both discovered that, you know, you could build these gigantic worlds, and then when it came to doing it for the short film Glory at Sea and then ultimately for Beasts, we weren't afraid of trying to sort of reach bigger and sort of expand the scale, because, you know, the way you do it with animation, obviously the frame is very sort of controlled, and what's going on outside the frame nobody knows, but you can build the world in the audience's mind, and I think we just carried that idea over. That's a tricky one. That's actually weird. That was probably, more than anything, that was just a response to the world, to the environment that I saw. We did a lot of heavy scheduling. I wanted to use as much natural light as possible. You know, there are movie lights involved, obviously, and we did supplement things and build some things from scratch, but I wanted the whole space to feel just in the same way that the camera was discovering things. I wanted it to be, you know, to feel like we just, you know, for me the best times with light is when you sort of turn a corner on at the end of a day, and there just happens to be the most incredible combination of, you know, a little bit of mist and sunlight and those things, and those little beautiful accidents. And that's what I tried to get. Was we scheduled the movie so that we were always shooting in the times and the places to find those accidents, but we also stayed very fluid, and we rearranged the schedule several times, you know, as we were in production. We also had a breakaway unit for some of the shots that are sort of the real sort of showstoppers, if you like, in the movie, the real kind of how did that even happen kinds of moments. A lot of those were, we were just primed ahead of time. We would have, you know, we always had a sort of the ability to sort of split the camera off quickly, do a quick costume change and go and grab a shot if we got the opportunity to do it. And we kept our eyes open a lot of the time, and we also just never let up. I mean, as long as we had that camera in our hands, me and Ben and you know, the team, we would just we'd shoot anything and everything we could possibly get, because, you know, we knew that everything was going to add to it. Probably for me, personally, the biggest challenge actually was not some of the logistical things. It was imagining Hush Puppy's fantasy world, imagining the world with the memories of her mother and of the cook, and then ultimately when they arrive at Elysian Fields, because I knew that those had to be heightened in some way, and I knew that the scene where she's cooking the gator had to be, you know, it had to have this quality to it. But I didn't want to step too far outside the world of the film. I wanted it to stay congruent with the rest of the film, and they were the hardest scenes for me to light and to operate, but they were really just it just took a lot of thinking. I was terrified about those up until the day we shot them. Sure, it was, well, the great thing about it was, the reason I was attracted to that project was, although aesthetically it's nothing like, you know, Beasts, I really clicked with the director, Joe Swanberg. We really just, you know, we hit it off when we first spoke, and he embraces a lot of the same things that Ben Zeitlin does. He embraces the chaos of movie making. He embraces the happy accidents and the, you know, the sort of, you know, the sort of letting a little bit of control go in the name of finding something more beautiful, you know, and that's definitely how I've always approached filmmaking. I prefer to just, you know, keep my eyes open and try to respond to what's happening in front of me rather than control it all. So that was really what it was, and Joe had that too. So seeing the most of the dialogue in that movie is improvised. It's, you know, the scenes are, you know, very roughly sketched out, and yeah, it was actually, the process was very similar in some ways to Beasts, although the end result is very, very different. It's great. I'm kind of overwhelmed. When I saw the other, I don't know too many of the European films in competition at the moment. I need to try and watch some of them, but when I saw that the other two main American projects that were here were Argo and The Master, I was just kind of a little bit overwhelmed, actually. I don't really know